What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gimme presented by BetMGM. Why the Gimme? You guys know why, because it's good. Cannot wait for this week, the second leg of the new Vegas swing, 1 year only. The CJ Cup, a limited event, limited field, no cut event at Shadow Creek in Las Vegas, one of the most famous courses in the world, a VIP type course where all the players, and I mean the players, have played. Welcome to Gimme. I'm Jason Sobel, along with my friends from Golf Bet, Peter Jennings and Amanda Rose. We'll have a nice giveaway for you guys later. But first, for the next 30 minutes, one player you will be talking about, Amanda Rose, live from Shadow Creek. What's going on, Amanda?
Not too much, but I like Adam Long a lot this week.
All right, Peter, you got.
I'll be talking about who I think is the best golfer in the world, Jon Rahm.
Ooh, I can't top that, but I love me some mid-tier this week. I'll be talking about a lot of Joaquin Niemann over the next 30 minutes. And before we get into the top of the board, before we get into who is at Shadow Creek this week, we're first going to have to talk about who's not at Shadow Creek. And that list is led by Dustin Johnson, who obviously tested positive for COVID yesterday on Tuesday afternoon. He has withdrawn himself from this golf tournament, and that has had a major ripple effect in the betting markets because DJ was, of course, the pre-tournament favorite, and everyone's sort of shifted order and moved up a position on the board and lost a couple of notches as far as their price. Tony Finau, who missed last week after a positive test, he is also out this week as well. But still a very good field. We've got four of the top the top four of the world, 7 of the top 10. Jon Rahm, who Peter just mentioned, 8-1. Justin Thomas, 10-1. Rory McIlroy, 11-1. Xander Schauffele, 12-1. Matthew Wolff, 18-1. Colin Morikawa at 22-1. By the way, BetMGM reporting that the most money and the biggest handle on Matthew Wolff outright so far this week. Peter, I read those numbers off. What do you think of them this week? Are these the right numbers with no DJ in the field?
Yeah, I do think they're the right numbers. And I want to point out when DJ news first came out, that's a great opportunity oftentimes to, bet some favorites. There's a lot of win equity that DJ had. He has the course record at Shadow Creek. So if you were able to bet quickly after the DJ news, that's a nice opportunity and something you can do going forward. But yeah, the relative odds I think are right. I love Jon Rahm. I think he's a rightful favorite. JT and Rory, I expect big things. We're really high on Xander, Jason. And Matthew Wolff coming with great form, and he's getting bet down to a short number where I see no value, but really love his game, and I think he certainly could perform well. So I think it's set up pretty correctly.
All right, well, let's get to our perfect portfolios for this week. Some of us have $100 to spend in our betting portfolio this week. Others have been to the Vegas casinos and womp womp. Amanda, what happened? Where your money at?
Roulette happened. That's what happened, Jason Sobel.
All right, we'll let it slide. I'm sure you can pick up some more money later and place some bets, and we're going to want to hear yours. You can see how we did last week. And oh, by the way, check that out. Last week,
I did the best.
We have all turned a profit at the Shriners Hospitals for Children Open. We are on a heater right now, guys, a collective heater. So let's get to this. We all want winners. Peter, start us off. Who you got this week for your $100 portfolio?
Yeah, so the way I'm going to invest my $100 this week is with my favorite bet off the top, and that's Keegan Bradley to be top 20 at plus 280. BetMGM pays ties out in full. It's a small field. Top 20 is certainly reasonable. And the narrative I'm going with Keegan here is that Keegan is, obviously really good friends with Jordan. Jordan has his own golf cart at Shadow Creek, and I'm sure he's played a lot of rounds. Plus, it's playing really long, and Keegan's one of the best ball strikers, 33rd in total strokes gained, tee to green in the 2020 season. If he putts decently, I think he has a really good week. I'm also going with $25 on Jon Rahm outright. I'd list a top 5 or a top 10 bet, which I can get to, but in the perfect portfolio, if you're taking Jon Rahm, you got to take him outright. I think he's the best player in the world. I think the course sets up really well for him. And then I'm spending 25 of the last 100 on Xander Schauffele to be top 5. Phil Mickelson thinks he's the best player in the world. I think he's right there. No holes in his game, really long, an amazing player off the tee, which I think is important this week. And that's how I'm spending my $100. Amanda, where are you going to spend some money this week?
All right, I don't hate your picks, Pete. I owe you a huge apology after last week when you picked the other CSU Ram to win, and I was like, So I do owe you an apology for that, but I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction. I'm going to put the bulk of my money, that's $6, on a Tommy Fleetwood top 10, right? He's taken some time off from the US Open when he very uncharacteristically missed the cut. He's played really well in the UK the last 2 weeks, second at the Scottish Open. Saturday was a total wash there. He put himself in great position to win. He lost in that playoff to Aaron Rye on Sunday. And then 15th last week at Wentworth. Like I said, he's been playing really well. He got in early yesterday. He's gained a lot of strokes putting since August 1st of this year. And at this course, putting is really going to matter. So I love Tommy as a top 10 this week, and hopefully he doesn't embarrass me with that pick. Moving on, I'm going to do $2 on an Adam Long top 20. His last 3 starts, 13th at the US Open, 5th at Corrales, miscut at Sanderson. But it's okay because he took the week off, which is a good idea because Vegas can get the best of us. So he's, this week he's been out there working with swing coach Josh Gregory on the range. He's looking really good. I like where his game is right now. And I think top 20 is not a big ask for someone who has just in every single week, every month has just been gaining strokes. So I like that a lot. I'm going to close out here with a Scotty Scheffler top 10. $2. He missed the cut last week at Shriners, but we know the cut was absolutely insane. Been watching him on the range this week. He looks really good. He's doing a lot of good things right now. So as the week goes on, I think Scotty Scheffler is going to be able to put himself in that top 10 position. I think it's just time for us to see that really good Scotty Scheffler from earlier in the COVID swing come back out now. That was a lot. Jason, what do you think?
Okay, I'm taking half of this bad boy and I'm throwing it on Xander Schauffele, top 5, just like Peter did. I won't reiterate everything that he said, but it's almost a cliche now to take Xander at these elite field, limited player, no-cut events. He just seems to play his best golf there. 3 of his 4 wins on the PGA Tour in these types of events. 25 of this going on Joaquin Niemann, 25 on Sungjae Im, both for top 10s. I love that mid-tier. If I had another $25, I'd put it on Abraham Answer with the top 10 as well. Some of my favorite players, and we'll get to all of those guys throughout this show because those are guys that I really like in that mid-tier, whether it's DFS, whether it's top 5, top 10, top 20 type bets this week. So it's time to play the wheel. We've got the top 6 on the board who are on our wheel of fortune, maybe misfortune. We'll find out. Super producer Evan Abrams will spin this wheel for us. Evan, are you ready?
I am so ready to spin this wheel right now. And honestly, for Amanda, I'm in Vegas. It's a nice little thing. We're going to see how it goes. We'll see. All right, here we go. Spinning the wheel. Let's see what we land on. And right now it is, Rory McIlroy. All right, Rory is up first, Amanda. Who do you like?
I'm actually really happy. This was my favorite prop bet that I picked out. I'm taking him for top Irish player. You want to know why? Because I'm in Vegas, and I like when the odds are not too bad. So you got 50-50, him or Shane Lowry, minus 455. Rory for the top Irishman. I like it. That's my pick for it.
All right, we're going to nail that.
About to do the accent.
That was it. All right, Sobel's up. Let's see. Spinning the wheel now.
Spin that thing.
Let's see. Is it Morikawa? Oh, Wolf. It looks like, it's Wolf. It's going to land there. All right, Matthew Wolf. You're up, Sobel.
Okay, as I mentioned, I think there's almost too heavy a handle on Matthew Wolf this week. I understand. He was 4th at the PGA Championship, 2nd at the US Open, finished tied for runner-up after a playoff last week. Everybody jumping on the Matthew Wolf bandwagon. I almost feel like of those guys who are forever linked together, Morikawa, Wolf, and Hovland, I feel like if you want someone that's kind of on the way up, look at Hovland this week more than the guys who are maybe overvalued just a little bit. That said, Matthew Wolf for a top 10, I think, is a pretty safe bet this week.
Like it. All right, so Peter got the favorite in Bryson, I believe, last week, and now the favorite's still on the board with Rahm, and his Rahm love affair. So let's spin the wheel. Let's see if he just gets Rahm. Let's see if it seems to make sense to me. Oh, it was right next to Rahm. All right, JT, it's Justin Thomas.
All right, well, I'll go right to John Rahm with this as well. I love JT, best approach in the game, does so many things well, great personality. But like I said, John Rahm's the best player in the world. I think John Rahm has a really good week. I'm taking John Rahm over JT in a matchup as my bet here. It was around minus 140, minus 150. It's moved a little bit towards John Rahm, which I like to see personally, but that's where I'm going with my prop with JT.
All right. I like it. Evan, I tell you what, your spinning gets better and better every single week. Keep practicing. We'll keep coming back to you every week. And you keep producing the rest of the show. Don't go anywhere, all right?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank
We're
you,
nothing
Evan.
without you.
Yeah, seriously. Evan leaves. We all just stand here and stare at the screen for the next 20 minutes. So let's get to our big fade. For me, there's a few sort of names out there that are kind of easy this week. I hate to harp on Jordan Spieth again, so I won't do it. I'm still bullish long term, but I can't get on him this week. That said, my guy who I'm fading is Brooks Koepka. I just feel like this is a rehab start. He hasn't played in 9 weeks. He's coming back from that knee injury. Now, if you're playing DFS and you want to just differentiate and be a lot different than everyone else, because look, everybody knows that Brooks Koepka is coming off a knee injury. Everybody knows he hasn't played in 9 weeks. Everybody knows, hey, there's better places and better players to take at the same price or near it than Brooks Koepka. So if you want a really good player at low ownership, I'm okay with that in a couple of lineups. That said, for the most part, I am fading Koepka this week. Peter, you with me?
I'm with you. That is my big fade as well. And all the points you just made are really important. I do think in DFS, if you wanted to buy him somewhere, it'd be there. I think betting against him actually has some value. And that's normally what I'm looking for with these big fades is guys that you're not bullish on, especially if you're really bearish, finding those people to bet in round matchups for the tournament. There's a lot of value there. And I'll mention one other thing that's important when you're handicapping golf going forward. Brooks Koepka is coming off a long layoff. There's obviously the injury. And this is all baked in, but golfers who've taken time off, who haven't played a tournament recently, tend to do significantly worse. One of the most predictive things in tournament golf is who's played recently. So Brooks Koepka has the injury, hasn't played competitive golf recently. I think he's a really easy fade. Amanda, who's your big fade this week?
Yeah, I have to agree with that, Peter. I did want to be a little bit different from you guys, so I went with Cameron Champ. I mean, it's great that he's in the field because his play as of the last 12 months doesn't really indicate someone who should have a spot in the field this week. Nothing personal. He's a nice person, I'm sure, but Cameron Champ is just kind of my big fade. He used to be really, really good in the wind, not so much as of late, and it's not going to be overly windy this week. We're going to see about 10-mile-an-hour winds max Friday, Saturday. So I got to fade Cameron Champ. I'm not buying what he's selling right now.
By the way, I do want to follow up, Amanda. You have a propensity to be part-time meteorologist. You mentioned the winds aren't going to be too bad out there in Vegas this week. What should we expect for the next 4 days?
So we have a high-pressure system coming in off of the west coast of the United States, coming over the mountains, finding Las Vegas, and that's about all I've got. And
How about this? Not going to be that windy?
It's not going to be that windy.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Okay, pretty good
sorry.
scoring conditions. Okay, I didn't need the high pressure front, but there will be some high pressure on the players if they're going to have to go low this weekend. So let's talk about this course a little bit. Shadow Creek. This is quite literally an oasis in the desert. 75-27 yards this week, a par 72. It is, if you haven't seen it, if you forget the match from 2 years ago between Tiger and Phil, which was really the only time it was ever on sort of national and international in the spotlight. It is a sight to behold. It is a really cool place. Basically, anyone has been out there and been to the course and played the course. And one player this week told me this is the most well-conditioned golf course he has ever seen. And yes, that player has played in the Masters. So maybe that was a little hyperbole, or maybe it really is the best conditioned course in the world. Let's get to our favorite prop bets for this week. Amanda, start us off here.
Yeah, that's not hyperbole at all. I've had caddies and players tell me this week that this place rivals Augusta, and they're going to be there in 29 days. So that is not at all hyperbole. This place is immaculate. I'm going with Tommy Fleetwood for top Englishman. After I mentioned earlier, he missed the cut at the U.S. Open. He hadn't really been playing that was uncharacteristic. He comes back, he starts playing really well. So I love him as the top Englishman, as top Great Britain and Irish player. So he is my pick for this week. After he played really well, like I said, he played really well at Renaissance, played really well at Wentworth. He's been on a good streak, and he is one of those long-term players that is just continually getting better, and his putting's pretty good right now, especially on these greens. So I am looking for him to beat guys like Rory and Justin Rose this week.
You took Rory as top Irishman before and did the Irish accent. You got the English accent for top Englishman.
Well, it's quite nice. I don't know.
That was good.
I was into Paul Casey earlier, but
that was a Justin Rosey-esque.
It was my
accent.
Paul Casey Surrey accent. I was talking earlier today, so I was taking inspiration from the posh lad.
Casey's got a little English infused with Scottsdale, sort of like Martin Laird, who's got some Scottish Colorado. Pete, do we call that like Scotlarado?
Whatever it is, Martin Laird's my hero. Representing CSU and with the win last week. Whatever it is, Martin Laird's the man.
As I said on the podcast this week, it's just about time a CSU Ram came through in the clutch on a golf course. So, Pete, where are you going this week? With your favorite
my favorite prop this week is Jon Rahm to be top 5. And I think you can make a bet on Jon Rahm pretty much anywhere on the board. He's priced as basically the favorite now across the board, but it's still not enough for me on the top 5, top 10, top 20 bets, given his range of outcomes. I mean, Jon Rahm is making almost every cut, and he's near the top every single week. We've had this discussion about who the best player in the world is a lot during the COVID swing. DJ wins, he's the best player in the world. JT wins, he's the best player. Bryson wins the U.S. Open by 6 strokes, he's the best player. Rahm, when he wins, he's the best player. But if you look at the consistency of those 4 guys, Rahm has the most consistency by far, not just this year, but going back last year as well. So I really like Jon Rahm to be top 5, plus 175 in MGM. And if he ties in 5th place, I still get paid out in full, which I love. Jason, what's your favorite prop?
So my favorite prop in general this week is a top 20 prop. And that's because I love top 20 bets in these limited fields. I think that the numbers don't move as much from being top 20 in, say, 144 or 156 man field as it is moving down to a 76, 78 man field this week. So you look at players who really only have to finish in the top 70% of the field, not the top 82, 83%. And I think there's some real value on top 20s. That said, the guys I'm looking at for top 20s, I want guys who are motivated. Look, first of all, it's Vegas. I get it. If you're in 43rd place going into the weekend and you're like, hey, I don't really have a chance of winning, you might have a chance to go nuts in Vegas this weekend and not really be too focused on your game. That said, there are other players who might be in 43rd place and say, hey, look, I've got a great opportunity. If some of these guys aren't taking it as seriously as maybe they should or could, well, I can go out there, I can put together 2 really good rounds on the weekend, move up inside the top 20, and I can get points, I can get money, I can move up in status, and it can really help me down the line. And one of those guys who has preached this to me many, many times before is Brendan Steele. He really understands the value of sort of grinding through a weekend and trying to play his best, even when he knows he's not going to be in contention. So I really like him for a top 20 at plus 275 this week, but you can sell me out a lot of guys for top 20s because of those very reasons this week. As far as favorite matchup, I am fading last week's champion, and no, sorry, Peter, it's not the CSU Ram. I am fading Tyrrell Hatton, who, speaking of celebrating in Vegas, might have had a little bit of a celebration coming back from Wentworth, might have a little bit of a hangover. I'm just saying, just the plane ride, just a figurative type of hangover for Hatton this week. He's matched up against Daniel Berger. Daniel Berger is the underdog in this one. And Daniel Berger, to me, is a Vegas kind of guy. Daniel Berger is a guy that, quite frankly, likes to send it. And I think he's been playing such good golf as an underdog in this matchup. I like Berger a lot. Peter, where are you going for yours?
So my favorite matchup is Xander over Wolf. And you talked about Wolf having the most action on him this week. There's a lot of recency bias on Matthew Wolf. And from a matchup perspective, he actually is someone I like to bet against. When he plays his best, he's up there. I mean, he's always contending, and his really good outcomes are great. And we've seen that. He has a ton of talent. I am very bullish on Matthew Wolf long-term, but he's also a little more inconsistent relative to the top guys, especially when you compare him to Xander. So Xander has a C game, Wolf has a C game. I feel very confident that Xander's going to win. I think Xander's, really good golf is right there with Wolf, and basically on the way down, I like the range of outcomes much better for Xander. I think he's a much better golfer too at this stage. So I like that matchup a lot. And, this week I'm fading Wolf just because he's priced so expensive.
Yeah, quite frankly, if you take Xander in a whole bunch of matchups, you have a chance of winning a whole lot of those matchups this week. So let's get to our ultimate DFS lineup. We do it every week on our Action Network Golf Bet Pod, Peter and myself. We also do it every week here on the Gimme, and you can check out the models and the tools on Fantasy Labs. They now have strokes gain statistics on there. Look at Peter. He's getting all excited about that. So some really good stuff going on at Fantasy Labs. Check it out when you're making your lineups. And as always, we're going to go through DraftKings, 2 picks for each of us. Amanda, as always, has the first pick because she does. That's why. And Amanda, where are you going with the first one?
I'm going to go with good old Adam Long. Like I said earlier, he's been playing well just continually as the year has gone on. He's been playing well. I like his long-term form. There's no cut this week. He's going to be a lower-owned player. And like I said, those were my 2 points. He's going to be a lower-owned player, and there's no cut this week, and he's been playing well. So I think top 30 is not that far of a reach for a guy like Adam Long. So where are you going, Pete?
Yeah, I like the pick a lot. I think he can certainly go low, and you're getting a great price at 6,600, leaving some money to spend. And we've talked a lot about Xander, but 10-3 on DraftKings might be the best place to invest in him. I think that's a fantastic price. Phil Mickelson knows Shadow Creek, knows Vegas as well as anyone. Obviously won the match there. He said Xander's the best player in the world. I have a ton of respect for his golf IQ, and Xander has 0 holes in his game. So I think that's a fantastic buy. Jason, where are you going?
Well, I've made a lot of lineups so far this week, Peter, and just about every single one of them, I get to one point in making the lineup and I say, well, I got to put Xander in there. I can't get him out of my lineups this week. So I agree with you there. I'm going kind of right in the middle of that mid-tier guy that I've mentioned a couple times already, but Joaquin Niemann, really liked him last week, finished in a share of 13th place. The ball striking was good. He putts better on bent grass greens than anywhere else. This should be right up his alley at 7,500. I think he's a smash play for DFS. Amanda, where are you going with your next pick?
I am actually going with Sergio Garcia. He won 2 weeks ago. He is hitting the ball, probably the best that I've ever seen him hit the ball. And I'm not exaggerating or trying to sound like just say something I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been watching him at PGA Tour events for 15 years. And when this guy, and I'm telling you, he is hitting it so straight and so pure right now, it is blowing my mind. And I know I'm not the only person out here saying that this week. So Sergio is just, I mean, he's striping the ball and you're getting good prices on him because he's not that top 10, top 20 player that he used to be, but he's in that good form as if he were. So you're getting good value on guys like Sergio. And I like him a lot for this lineup because I don't know if he's going to become higher owned quite yet. I don't know if people quite trust his game, but so I like him for our lineup.
Amanda, my buddy John McGinnis, who covers the tour both for PGA Tour Live and for PGA Tour Radio, said that he followed Sergio all day on Saturday at the Sanderson Farms. First of all, said, I knew on Saturday he was going to win that golf tournament. And secondly, maybe more importantly, moving forward, he said, Sergio has picked up 25 to 30 yards at the age of 40 off the tee. He said Sergio is hitting at distances he never used to hit in the past. So I think that bodes really well for him moving forward. Peter, where are you going with the next one?
Yeah, I want to just comment on Sergio as well. I've been on him a lot recently. The ball striking stats are out of this world. He's certainly a top 10 or top 20 ball striker, probably even higher at this point. And putting with his eyes closed has worked so far. So hopefully that continues. I'm going to go with Keegan Bradley, who's also an elite ball striker. Keegan and Sergio are similar. They struggle with the putter, but if they get hot, they certainly can contend. And Keegan at 6,500, I think is a great buy. I mentioned, I think he's played Shadow quite a bit. The Jordan connection and 33rd in strokes gained tee to green in the 2020 season. He's improved on that so far in the 2021 season. 24th in strokes gained tee to green. He's been awesome. Jason, we actually left you some money. Where are you going to
run a lot of money?
Yeah.
I mean, like too much money. Like I don't want to spend all this money that you've left me. No, I'm like, all right, well, who's in the 6,000 range that, okay, well, I've never heard of this guy, but he Monday qualified. Let's take a chance. Well, no, not this week. So I'm basically just going to go chalk and take the highest price guy available still on the board. I know, Peter, you love saving money in lineups this week and differentiating. I can't do it. I just got to spend as much as I can spend, and I'm taking Rory McIlroy. I don't necessarily love Rory this week, but He's Rory McIlroy. I'm taking him if he's available, and I have the money to spend on him. So that's the lineup. Adam Long, Xander Schauffele, Joaquin Niemann, Sergio Garcia, Keegan Bradley, and Rory McIlroy. Good luck with your DFS lineups this week. And it's now time for our giveaway. I talked about it at the beginning of the show. We've got a golf bet hat for one lucky winner, and we're doing a little bit differently than we normally do. We asked, what is your favorite bet this week? You've all made your bets. You've all placed your tickets. Yeah, you might do some more after watching the show. We hope you will. But what is your favorite one so far? Amanda, what do we have?
So the first one I'm going to go with, our runner-up from at TS Plant, Sung J M top 5 at plus 275. That's a pretty good one. It wouldn't surprise me. He's also been working a little bit with a different coach and working on his putting. So I could see that happening. Our winner is going to be from Ted Flukes. What an interesting name. For Matthew Wolf at 10-1 for top American is very enticing. And I have to agree with Senor Flukes because that won the hat.
Come on. If your name is Flukes, I feel like you should be making some fluky type of plays this week. I mean, Matthew Wolf is as unfluky as there is out there.
A fluke is the most common fish in the sea. So if you go fishing for a fluke, you might find one.
Okay.
Brian Baumgartner said that in The Office.
That's very well put. Guys, we've still got a few minutes left. Let's talk about our favorite long shots. Maybe a name that we haven't mentioned yet on the show, or at least individually we haven't mentioned. Peter, you got a guy that you haven't really gotten to yet that you want to kind of elaborate on a little bit that you might like a little this week?
Yeah, I'll get to a long shot in just a second, but I want to talk about Sung J M because I do think he's one guy I haven't named that's not a long shot, but I've seen a lot of value in him in betting. And one other thing to pay attention to, I do think you give a bump to the guys who played last week. They've been in Vegas, they experienced kind of the conditions, and I think there's a benefit to the guys who played last week this week. One guy that I really, really like that missed the cut on the number, made birdie on 18, missed the cut at 6 under is Kevin Streelman. Plays the majority of his golf at Arizona, a member down at Whisper Rock, West Coast guy who really knows a lot of these courses. I assume he has some experience at Shadow, another elite ball striker, and he's 150-1. So I really like his play during the COVID swing, and if he putts decently, it's kind of the theme for me most weeks. I'm taking these ball strikers, and that is Kevin Streelman. Amanda, what is your long shot?
I'm going to go with good old Canadian Corey Connors. I like his game recently. Actually, I don't like his game recently. Sorry. I like his game when he makes the cuts recently because he goes kind of like miscut, top 20, miscut, top 30, top 40, miscut. So I kind of like it right now. And we're in Vegas, baby. You got to put a bet down. So I kind of like him for, maybe top 10. Maybe not outright, but like a top 10. Go for it.
I like that a lot. This should be a ball strikers course. There's so many guys that I like as far as ball strikers. Not really a long shot, but I feel like I haven't mentioned Abraham Answer's name enough on this show yet. He was 4th place last week. Really liked him last week, and I think that's going to carry over. Answer has proven to be a momentum type player. When he has a good result, he usually doesn't take a downturn the next week. He usually kind of keeps chugging up that hill for a couple more weeks before that cycle takes case there. So I like Answer. As far as long shots, mentioned Brendan Steele already. Peter, you mentioned Keegan Bradley. Joel Damon, I think, has a ton of upside. He's got a high ceiling, maybe a low floor, but a high ceiling. And perhaps the most high ceiling, low floor guy in all of golf, Siwoo Kim. I hate to say it, he's almost been consistent lately. We've never seen a consistent Siwoo before. It's either all or nothing, but he's actually been a pretty solid player over the last few months. So I like Siwoo, but my pick here is a guy that Amanda has mentioned a few times, Adam Long. If it's a birdie fest, now I've got an asterisk next to this pick. If it's a birdie fest, Long tends to play well when there are a lot of birdies being made, some lower scores. If it's not, I reserve the right to change this pick if it turns out to be tougher conditions. Dylan Fratelli is a guy that I like playing under tougher conditions. So if it tends to be an easy kind of course, and I think it still remains to be seen, is it a 16 to 18 under wins this thing kind of week, or a 7 to 8 under kind of thing wins this one? I have no idea yet. I'm not sure any of us really do, but if it's easier, Adam Long. If it's tougher, Dylan Fratelli is my guy. Any final thoughts, guys? We got about 30 seconds left. Amanda?
I like it. I'm just, you guys feel free to send me money to gamble with, put some sportsbook money down. No, I'm just kidding. Vegas is great. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Peter, any advice for Amanda in Vegas?
Go play some craps. And Corey Connors, long shot. I've made bets on Corey Connors this week. Another elite ball striker. Jason?
Amanda, my advice, keep firing in the sportsbook until you hit something, because you will, because we always do. I mean, look at it. We were on a heater last week. We'll be on a heater this week. Thanks to everyone for watching the Gimme. For Amanda Rose, for Peter Jennings, I'm Jason Sobel. Check out our coverage on Golf Bet. Good luck, and here's hoping you hit the green.